you.
Awesome. All right, welcome everybody. Really appreciate you joining us this evening. Before I introduce our guest speaker this evening, I'm Tim Taylor. I'm the chair of the VSTE Education Committee on the VSTE board, and a lot of people here joining us tonight is on the VSTE Education Committee. And what we're doing is we're sponsoring these webinars this year. What we're responsible for one about every month. Usually it's going to be the fourth Thursday of every month, but we have a couple exceptions. Next month, of course, November, the fourth Thursday is Thanksgiving, so that's actually going to be on the third Thursday. And then we're going to skip December because that's when we have our VSTE conference. And then what we'll do in January, that will also be the third Thursday because of a scheduling conflict. But the rest of them, then the remainder of the school year will be the fourth Thursday at 7 p.m. And we have different speakers that will be speaking on different topics and different resources that you can use within your all school division, schools, etc. So we're really looking forward to offering these for everybody, and I know you'll find them of value. So we're going to kick it off here this evening. Our guest is Andy Shaw. He's with Canva for Education, and I believe, Andy, your specific title is a District Engagement Advocate. That's quite an impressive title there. But Andy's going to talk to us all about Canva for Education. And he actually just finished setting it up for our school division, Channel County Public Schools. And he's been great to work with. So, Andy, I'm turning over to you. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I'm not muted, am I? No. Thanks for that introduction. I appreciate it. It's good to see you all. I'm going to share my screen. I think you all can probably see that. Somebody give me a clue in the chat if you can't.
You're good, Andy.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, so fun facts about me real quick. My name is Andy. I do work at Canva, as Tim shared. I live in Maine, although I'm born and raised down in your neck of the woods in Maryland, actually. I've got two lovely daughters. There they are in the picture. I used to live in California, and one of the things I miss most about California is the burritos. And by way of background, I did start my career as a math teacher for quite a number of years, and then a school leader for quite a while, and so now I do this. All right, so the plan today is to talk about Canva, to do a little practice with Canva, time allowing, and to specifically think about what it looks like to roll out Canva as a school district. I'm going to spoil my own punchline right now off the top and say one of the great things about Canva for Education is it is 100% free, no strings, no catches. So I'm not trying to sell you anything, or if I am, I'm trying to sell you something free. So hopefully that's okay with y'all. So if you're not familiar with Canva, Canva for Education is a visual communications platform. It is a set of simple, intuitive, and powerful creating and editing tools. Canva for Education also includes free unlimited content. So Canva has a whole set of library of photos, videos, graphics, all of which are copyright safe and built into the platform. So kind of gone are the days of Google searching for some image, hoping it's okay to use and dropping it into your work. Canva also allows users to collaborate and comment in real time. So we can have, just as you do in Google Docs, we can have dozens, even hundreds of users in one design working together at the same time or working together asynchronously. And then we also have a set of built-in workflows and LMS integrations to help streamline the educational process for users. Canva also includes more than 60,000 high-quality educational templates. So these are templates created by educators and by our team of graphic designers to give you a starting point when you're designing something. And we'll play with templates in a little bit here tonight. But the idea is if you're like me and you're not necessarily design-oriented, the templates within Canva give you a nice place to start to create your work. Canva is safe for students. We are FERPA and COPPA compliant, and we're signatories of the national and regional data privacy agreements. So hopefully that's helpful for folks. And you know, one of the experiences I have when I talk about Canva is that it seems kind of so big and hard to get our heads around, like, oh, you can make anything. So I really like to show folks a list like this, right? That this is not the entirety of what you can make in Canva, but it's some of the pre-built document formats that we do have built into the platform. And so as a former teacher, I look at this list and it kind of gets me excited. Like, oh, what if we did a magazine cover project in my class, right? Or a comic strip project? What if we had students design a t-shirt or an album cover based on the theme from a novel they've just read, right? What if we do a class newsletter? And so hopefully when I show this list to educators, my hope is that they look at it and they think, wow, if it were easy for my students to create this kind of this kind of documents and designs, would that free me up to take on more creative projects in my classroom? So I like to show that list. And as we mentioned, Canva for Education is 100% free. I'm going to talk more later in the presentation about how and why Canva is free, because folks often want to know. But it's important to kind of, after I mention the features, just kind of point that out. Okay, so I have to limit myself to 5 minutes when I demo Canva because otherwise I could go on forever. But sometimes it is helpful to see someone using the platform. So I think what I'll do is, sometimes I have a plan when I do a demo, but I think tonight I'm actually just going to demo something, and we'll improvise a little bit. I would love to get a recommendation from the studio audience tonight as to what do you want to see me try to start designing in Canva? Any like requests? Do you want to see an infographic? Do you want to see a poster?
I see the comic strip you were talking about.
Sure, thank you. I was just thinking, I've never done a comic strip. I hope they don't ask for that. Let's try it. Okay, so I clicked create a design. Let me make my screen a little bigger here.
I like to pose a challenge.
Yeah, thank you. You read my mind. I like it. So I clicked create a design and I began to type in comic strip and comic strip came up. So let's click on comic strip and that takes me into just a formatted document for comic strip. But the other thing that it gives me in the side panel here are a bunch of templates. Now I have to say, sometimes I'm a template guy and sometimes I'm a start from scratch guy, but a comic strip is not something I'm going to start from scratch. So let's start by picking a template. This is something my 9-year-old daughter would be super into. So I picked a template, this one about pandas. It's a nice kind of green and tan theme. And I'm going to apply all pages of my comic here to my design. So what that gives me, I'll close the template tab here. What that gives me now is I've got 4 pages. You can see them down here along the bottom. And we have kind of like a, looks like a sample finished version up front. And then I have my 4 panels and I have my illustrations to work with, including some like facial animations, which are cool, facial expressions, some speech bubbles. And so those are the pieces I start with. And so from just a design perspective, there's lots of things I can do in Canva, right? So if I start with this first page, I can click on any of the elements. I can change their size. I can change their color. Maybe we need some brown bamboo there instead of white. Obviously the text. Gosh, I don't have a fun title for, oh, maybe I'll do a pun. Okay, I can change my font, my text, and then like I said, I've never done this before, but it seems to me that what we can do with this template specifically is we can get some characters and we can copy them and put them into the frame and start creating some kind of a scene. Now, maybe I need some things in my comic strip that aren't part of the illustration set. Well, that's okay, because the tools in Canva along the left-hand tab will really give me everything I need. So what I really want here are some elements. Elements are Canva's version of graphics. So I like this one, right? We can pull this one in. I think we may need a panda to be riding a bicycle today. So let me search for bicycle. Okay, so we'll bring in a bike. What kind of bike would a panda ride? Oh, it's clearly this one. Okay, so we'll bring in the bike. We'll put it here. Maybe I can, do you think I can get the panda on the bike? That's going to be a geometric challenge, but maybe I can do it. He almost looks like he could be riding a bike. How am I going to do this? You're really making me work for it. I appreciate this, you guys. Let's flip the bicycle. So it's going the other way. I don't know. We're getting close. So the idea here in too far back. The idea here in Canva is you've got all the pieces you need built in, right? You've got elements, you've got photos. So if I didn't want to work with drawn elements for some reason, I could also work with photos. I can bring in pictures of anything you can imagine. Again, all copyright safe. And so like I think about this as if I were a teacher having my students create a comic strip for some reason in my class. This is a relatively easy way to get students up and running and into a visual format that if they don't see themselves as drawers or artists, a comic strip might feel really inaccessible. But with the components both built in this template and then also built within Canva, all of a sudden designing something starts to feel much more doable, much more accessible. I think I mentioned I have a 9-year-old daughter. She's like just at the right spot in terms of starting to be able to access what Canva can do. And I set her down in front of Canva. I showed her a couple of things and she's off and running. So it is for both 9-year-olds and for those of us who don't love technology or art, it's a pretty simple tool to use that way. Okay, that's probably my 5-minute demo limit. So I'm going to pause there. We can always pop back into Canva later if there's specific things you want to see. And you probably can hear the pandemonium outside my office door. It's bedtime at my house, but things seem pretty calm so far. Okay, so we talked about what Canva is. I gave you a little demo. I'd love to talk now about how districts and school systems use Canva. So we see really 3 use cases that are very prominent in terms of the way Canva gets used. The first is by teachers. Teachers love Canva. Teachers end up creating all types of instructional materials and resources in Canva or modifying resources that they already have, right? And what teachers report to us is that it's easy to create things that look good, that make the teacher feel good about their work, and also that engage the students in a more visually appealing way, and more visually engaging way. We also see a tremendous amount of use of Canva by students for things like project-based learning, authentic assessment, real-world deliverables. If you want your students to create something that looks a little bit more engaging or contemporary than a Word document, Canva is a really good place to do that. And then finally, we see a lot of use of Canva by school and district staff, right? Specifically for things like increased brand alignment, consistency in style, and ease of creation. So Canva lets you load in things like your district logos, your district colors, district templates. So it's easy for everybody to kind of get on the same page. Yes, all the ways this could fit into UDL. Thank you, Diane. I love that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just by way of kind of foreshadowing the next little bit, is I want to talk to you a little bit more detail about how I talk to teachers about using Canva. That's not to exclude all the other staff in the buildings and at the central office who might use Canva, but I'm a former instructor. I think about instruction a lot. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to give you all some time to play with Canva. But first, let's talk about using Canva in the classroom. So when I talk to teachers about using Canva, I talk about 5 core workflows. And so here they are. The first is the most traditional, right? This is where a teacher is going to create some kind of instructional resource and then share it with the student who will consume it, and if this is traditional, it's still a big part of what we do, and that's fine. So to me, I think of some examples of that, just a few out of many. So one is a talking presentation, right? So you can obviously make presentations in Canva, but you can also make talking presentations. And a talking presentation is a set of slides or any other document that within the Canva platform, you record yourself talking over. So we can get a webcam image, we get audio, we talk our way through the slides within Canva, we record it, and then directly from Canva, you can export a video link or a video file. So no more of this, like create your slides in one place and then record your blended, your flipped classroom blended learning lesson in another place. It's all in one platform. We can also, of course, do posters, anchor charts, LMS pages, all sorts of things like that in Canva as well. So that would be workflow 1. Workflow 2. So this would be where the teacher creates a template. So the teacher is going to create some kind of a template, pass it to the students, right? And the nature of a template is the students are making a copy of it as they begin. So the student's going to modify that template and submit it back to the teacher. And we've all done versions of this kind of assignment in our classrooms. Some interesting examples that come to mind for me are a card sort, right? You can build a really nice card sort in Canva, and you can kind of group the cards, insert your content, give it to the students make a copy, and then they arrange the cards in the right categories and hand it back to you, right? So what is a very tactile in some ways lesson, but conducted in an online environment. We can also do something, for example, like a lab report with embedded media, right? So maybe as a science teacher, it's very important to me that the students follow a certain format for their lab reports, but I also want them to be able to add graphs, pictures, videos, you name it, into that structure. So we can create a template for a lab report and have the students compile it within Canva. Third workflow might be something like collaborative creation, which we're going to do together in a moment. But this would be where the teacher creates a design and shares edit access with the class. And then as a class, we collaborate on adding to and completing the design. So we're going to all come into one big document, and together we're going to add content and build it up as a class or as a group. So some examples of how you might do this in Canva would be things like a mind map or a brainstorm, right? Teacher's going to build the structure, and then the class comes in. As a class, they build out ideas, they make connections within that collaborative mind map space. I'm sure there's other tools you've used for this, but Canva works really well for it as well. Or a jigsaw, for example. Maybe we create a set of pages, one for each unit or chapter or topic, and then we ask each group to contribute to their respective page, so that at the end of the unit or the class, we have a single document that contains everybody's learning and understanding. Workflow 4 might be something I call teacher guidance student choice. So the teacher is going to share expectations with the students in the form of a checklist, a rubric, something like that. And then the student's going to create and submit their own design. So that could be from a blank slate in Canva. It also could be from a template the student picks, but they create their work and they send it back to the teacher. And then the fifth workflow related is Canva as an option, right? So the teacher is going to offer a variety of options for either tool or deliverable or both. Student says, hey, I used Canva last year. I feel good about it. I'm going to create my project in Canva this time and then turn it back into the teacher. So for those last two workflows, some examples might include something like an issues or awareness raising project, right? So here's an example of a climate change infographic, but it could be anything where the student is kind of creating and demonstrating their knowledge, or a summative unit project. Maybe the teacher says, you need to demonstrate your learning on these 10 topics, and the student chooses to do it in the form of a Canva design of some sort. All right, so that's my overview of Canva in the classroom. We can come back to any of this. Maybe I'll pause. I'm going to send you into Canva in a moment, but I've been talking a lot. Maybe I'll pause here before we do that and just ask about what questions do you have? Do folks have any questions thus far?
I'm wondering how students sign in. Does it work well with Canvas or with Clever so that I could make it easy for students to sign in?
Good question. So most of what I do in my work is set, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, set districts up with a district-wide enterprise platform free of charge that connects to single sign-on and also connects to your LMS. We do not work with Clever, full disclosure. I can tell you the story about that yet. We're working on it. Well, the story in short is Clever's great. Their business model involves charging the vendor. We love that. It's great, except if you're a free product, and then it's hard to pass that cost on to anyone else. So we're working with them. We're in conversation. In the meantime, though, we connect to any other SSO you can imagine, and we can work with Clever in terms of, putting a link in the portal or something like that.
Right. But you said you work with LMS, so
Yep.
I would just be able to put it in Canvas.
Yeah, so what we do actually is we would do both. So we connect to SSO and we connect to LMS at the same time, and those work really well together. It doesn't work quite as well if you do only the LMS, and I can talk to you more later about why that is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, well, let's get to work because you all been working all day and you don't want to hear me talk. You want to play. So I know that there are people on the call who have used Canva before, and there's probably some who haven't, and that's fine. We're going to do an exercise that is open-ended. You can engage in it regardless of your Canva experience. And I want to show you this slide again that I showed at the beginning of the talk because you're going to make one, right? So I made a very basic slide with some facts about me and some information about me. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. And so the way we're going to do it is, jumped out of my presentation too quickly. I'm opening a new design in Canva right now, making a copy of it. And in a moment, I'm going to invite you all into it. And you'll notice that there's a bunch of blank template slides within that design. And so what you're going to do is, I'm going to add a few more slides here just in case we have more people than I thought. What you're going to do is you're going to come in to this design when I bring you in, and you're going to pick a slide and you're going to put your name on it. So that everyone else knows that's your slide. And then I want you to spend 9 minutes, it's my magic number. I want you to spend 9 minutes building out your slide. So if you're a from scratch person, you can do it from scratch. If you're a template person, that's fine. Go over to your templates button, and I'd recommend searching about me to get a good template for this. And you're going to get all these about me samples over here. These are each slide presentations, and so pick one whose kind of design you like overall, click on it, and then actually pick the specific template you think you like. Don't apply all 12 pages because then you'll put a template on everybody's slide, and we don't want that. So just pick the specific slide that you like. I like this one. I can replace current page, and then you can go ahead and modify that. So if you want to do a template, that's fine. If you want to work from scratch, that's fine. I am going to turn on my link sharing, put the link in the chat. So I'd love you all to come on in, join me in this design. I see people coming in, thank you. Grab a slide, you have 9 minutes to work, and I'll ping you when we're getting close to time up. All right, take about 1 more minute, give or take. All right, go ahead and place that last piece, or make that last final touch. Okay, cool. So I'll pause you there. Like in most things, you're never done. So if you don't feel like you're done, that's okay. But I want to call out a couple things that happen in this activity that always happen to me, which is, first of all, I love the variety and the diversity that I see in these slides, right? This is one of the things that I think is really cool about a platform like Canva, is that it really lets folks be themselves, right? You think about how that applies to students, for example, when we give them the flexibility to work with a little more space and openness in their work, we really start to see who they are and who they want to be in the world. Another thing that I see is folks in this exercise always impress me. Like things I would never have thought to do in a design are here, as well as some things that are really cool and funny and insightful. Tim Mays, you might get my prize for tonight. Thank you. So thank you for engaging in that with me. I would love to know from folks, what was the experience like for you? What was cool? What did you learn? Where did you get stuck? What questions do you have?
I'm thinking that when using this with students, I'm definitely gonna need to think about how much time I give them, because I could have sat here for a very long time. And I want to give them the freedom to really get into it. But on this other hand, like, I know that time is precious. So that's going to be a hard struggle.
I think that's a really important point. I think it's time, and it's also scaffolding, right? What kind of scaffolding can we give them to help them either create the content before they get sucked into design land, right? Or how can we limit choices, right? A lot of teachers talk to me about the way that they actually scale down the number of available templates. They say to their students, these are the 4 templates you can choose from. Use one of these 4, right? Which is sometimes helpful as well. Other folks, other experiences you had? Well, sounds like a couple of people lost their slides, maybe internet issues. I'm sorry about that.
So when doing this, first thing that came to mind is like if I want to do like a PowerPoint presentation. So there's just that one slide. Would you be able to show us how we can like make a presentation like that?
Sure. You mean a kind of a whole series of slides in the same family?
Right. And then
Yeah.
being able to put it all together to
Sure.
show
Yeah.
students.
Yeah. So we are actually working on a slide presentation as we speak, right? And the cool thing about Canva is you can actually present from right within Canva. So if I were to present this presentation, I would click the present button up top and click present, then we get everybody's individual slides, right? So the experience you had was of making a slideshow. And a couple of thoughts on slides generally. So let me change my mode here a little bit. So in most of our slideshow templates, for example, we have a whole bunch of different slides within the presentation. Right. So this presentation, for example, has a whole bunch of different slide types. So if I wanted to, I could just apply them all. And then we see all these different types of of slides all within the same graphical style that I can modify. So that's how I might start by creating a presentation. You can also, of course, just create additional slides as needed for a presentation. We're also tinkering with something called layouts, which are maybe more of what you're used to from Google Slides, for example, where you can pull certain kind of formats from the sidebar without the stylistic embellishments, but just with the layout of the text and the graphic. And so that might help with the slideshow too. But yeah, we do find that a lot of users love Canva for the slideshows because they feel like they have more creative control, and it's easier to make things that look good.
Andy, I was just
yeah.
curious. I was looking at different elements, and I found a martini, a cocktail. And I was just wondering, I know you have to address a wide audience. Are the graphics and everything included in the education version definitely more appropriate for children?
Yeah. So I've got you in the work version right now. And
okay.
There's a whole question about whether a Martini Glass should be in the work version, but that's a whole different question. So their Canva libraries work like this. They're concentric circles. So there is, there's the entire Canva library where we acknowledge the fact that people might be making who knows what with its Canva. And then there's a safe for work library. And then within that, there's a safe for school library, which has many, many fewer elements. We have removed, I know, and I will acknowledge that a year or so ago, we got a lot of concerns from folks about the content in Canva. We've removed, I believe, close to 1 million elements from our school libraries since then. And we are continuing the process. Every once in a while, I'll hear from a school leader who says, hey, I found this. And I call our content team and I say, you got to look at this search word again. So I think we're in good shape, but we're always working to make sure things are clean for kids.
I ask the question. So that the difference then is like a teacher account versus a student account?
Actually, so Canva accounts come in different types. Because I work at Canva, I have like the work type, and that's what I'm using today. The education accounts, there are differences between a student account and a teacher account, but actually both of them are subject to the content restrictions. So teachers and students will see the same. If they're in an education account, we'll see the same content.
I guess I'm asking because I had some similar thoughts to what Diane was asking about, because I am a previous Canva user and love it, but am worried. I teach at an elementary school and I like the new like game templates that are in there, or maybe they're not new, but I found them recently. And some of them are very, I don't know, not what I would put in front of my elementary school students.
Okay,
Does
good
that
to
make
know.
sense?
Yeah,
and I use my educator account to do that. So
and I will say, I mean, we are not perfect. So when pass those things along to me, and I'm more than happy to raise them with our team. Yeah.
And in one of the
adding content, different elements.
What's that, Tim?
Are you constantly like adding different elements as y'all find them, or how much?
Yeah, so we are both constantly adding and constantly subtracting. Okay. So yes, and at this point, nothing goes into the library without a pretty rigorous scan. Although templates are an interesting exception, so I want to go back and talk to our team about that. Templates are all internally created at Canva. But we are also always removing content, usually from our historical collections, some of which date to a time when we didn't think we would be in schools. And so it's kind of a process of eating away at some of that stuff.
The question I was going to ask is about, is there a free drawing tool component? Because it looked like in one of the things you showed earlier where there was an interactive, everyone going at the same time, it almost looked like sketching or drawing.
Yeah, well, so I can show you, is that app in here? Yeah, there's this beta app that we're working on called Draw that does let you, I won't scribble on anyone's slide. It gives you pens and it lets you mark, and I believe it works with a stylus too. It is very much in beta. We are kind of working with partners to think about kind of who else can partner with us to kind of bring this to life. But yeah, this tool is available. I think it's out live if you wanted to add it to your Canva account.
So Andy, with noting the issues in the room about slides disappearing, and I certainly live out in the country and understand internet issues, but is there any sort of history that's kept, or
Yes.
like I
yes.
notice I have the undo and the redo, but it seems like it's also personalized to me. So is there a way to go back?
You can't undo. We do have version history. So yeah, there is a version history option here. It's not quite as granular as Google, but it does let you go back
Sure.
and revert
Right.
designs. And I've used it more than once. All right, being mindful of time, I'm going to move on, and we can do more questions at the end if they come up. A couple of closing thoughts. So if you were thinking, gosh, I'd love to get this for my district, here's how it works, right? So the way we do it is we give the team or the school system a unified Canva team. So everybody comes into the same big container within Canva, very similar to kind of Google Drive, right? Everybody in the district has a Google Drive instance, and they all come in, they create their content in that same space, but their content is all private to them unless they choose to share it. So the team works the same way in Canva. It's an easy transition for pre-existing Canva users, so no content is lost, and users can toggle back to any old teams they have or old content they created before the district kind of signed up. So we integrate with essentially every SSO except Clever. We've got people on this call who have used, if I remember correctly, Azure, Google, ClassLink, and Rapid Identity. So good job representing all of you. You also get a set of enterprise level features and controls. So this is really, I think, a big bonus to moving to a district-wide implementation. So currently, I will tell you, you've got teachers throughout your districts using Canva, but they're using it outside of your control, right? And so the benefit here is if we bring everybody into Canva as a district, then you as an admin have the benefit of controlling things like where can students publish their designs? Do we want to turn off the social media channels as being available to students, right? You also get, because everybody's in that big Canva team, you get folders and groups. So you can imagine this as like Google Drive, but living within Canva. So a Google Drive-like structure within Canva. So a user can create a design, they can create a folder, they can share that design or that folder with other users. Teachers can create shared folders with their classes, things like that. We do a lot of PD and onboarding resources, both sharing with districts, but also delivering workshops directly to teachers and leaders in those districts. That's part of the fun of my work. And then we have this amazing ability to be kind of an education team within a bigger company. So you get to work with us long-term as a group of former educators whose job is to support Canva districts. So it's all free. I mentioned that. People always say at this point or earlier, hey, how is this all free? What's the catch? You know, are you selling my data? The answer is no. But here's the story. So Canva is kind of unique in the sense that we earn our revenue from non-education users. There's a lot of people out there who pay for Canva, and making money off K-12 is not part of our business model. It never has been, it never will be. Our origins as a company were in an educational context. And our company's values include being a force for good and empowering others. So this is how we give back. The story is, you may have heard this, I think Mel, our founder, was on a podcast a while back that people have heard, but basically the founders of Canva were teaching students how to make yearbooks and using digital tools. And they were like, man, there's gotta be a better digital tool for students to use. And so they created Canva, and then they kind of drifted away from education because Canva got so big in the non-education world. And then they realized, hey, we really ought to give back. Let's find a way to give this away to schools. Our founders have publicly stated that Canva will be free forever. So you don't need to worry about kind of bait and hook or bait and switch or whatever they call it. Real quick, if you were to onboard with us, the setup basically is you create a new account at the district level that's going to own the work of the whole district. You send me a whole bunch of information that I'm not going to go through today, but once we get that information, we send you a services agreement. Service is free, but of course there's paperwork because there's lawyers involved somewhere. Then we set up your account. You connect it to your single sign-on and connect it to any LMS integration you need to connect to. We work especially with Canvas and Schoology, as well as there's a great Google Classroom integration as well. And then we share some PD, we help you onboard your teachers and get them up and running, and then you're good. So wanted to make sure to leave plenty of time for more questions. Now is a good time for any more questions folks have. I need to look at the chat. Also, I'm curious about, I know we have several people on this call who have already rolled out with me. Curious about anything I didn't share that folks on the call would like to share about kind of using Canva in the district, what it's like.
Andy, this is Tim. Of course, we just set ours up, and Charity is our network administrator that really worked with you just setting up the accounts and everything. Like I said, she actually set it up in our single sign-on portal, and then also integrated with Schoology. So we're actually rolling it out next Tuesday.
Great.
So we'll be looking, of course, to use some of the PD resources you shared. But we went ahead and did a little dry run the other day because I, of course, had an account before. And what I did is I just logged in. You shared instructions. I logged into my personal account, but then when I hadn't had it, but it gave me the option to link to the new account. And when I go up in there, when I'm signed in, as you showed one of your slides, I can easily go back and forth from my personal account to my school division account. But I know Charity just talked to me. She said that you and your team was great to work with because she's had to implement with other companies sometimes with some of our single sign-on. It was a little bit more challenged. So she wanted to make sure I said that publicly, that you and your team were great to work with.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Tim. Yeah, we really pride ourselves on trying to make this as easy as possible for folks.
Andy, I have two questions. PowerPoint has added that design feature. So when you're creating slides, it sort of prompts you for what you might want to do and how you might want to design the page. Do you have something like that? That's question number one. Well, I'll go ahead and let you answer that.
Yeah, so good question. We don't have anything like that. And I think the reason is, I don't know if we totally trust the technology to look as good. I think our approach is to focus on templates instead, right? So helping folks choose the templates that suit them. So that would be, I think that's my answer to this one. I haven't heard, one of the funny things about working at Canva is I wake up on a Tuesday and there's like a new feature that blows my mind that I didn't know was coming. So for all I know, that's coming, Desiree, but I haven't heard about it. And I don't know if it, I don't know if you'll ever see something like that in Canva. Next question.
Okay, thank you. So prior to our district purchasing it for all of the schools, I had an account that I was working with and I used my district email. And all of my content that was there was lost when we went into single sign-on. Is there any way, or do you have an email I could contact to get?
Yeah, email me. Email me. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
I am sure it's there somewhere. I've actually never heard of that happening, but I know the right people to find out where we can get your content back, and I'm sure it's not gone. So it's just a matter of finding it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Desiree, where are you based? What district?
Prince William County Schools.
Okay. Yeah. Drop me a line. We'll figure it out.
Can I jump in really quick?
Yes.
Desiree, we're in the same county. I know I had the
okay.
same situation, but it didn't really disappear. I know for me, under the icon, there's a personal account and then the work account. So like I have to toggle back and forth between the two.
Right. I can do that with my other personal one, but because I had used my Prince William County address and I was making content for the school with that prior to us joining, it lost whatever I had before.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, what that other experience is much more common, right? In fact, that's the way it works, right? That we have two teams. So Desiree, we will figure out what's going on with you, but for other folks on the line, I'll just show. So the way
Thank
it
you.
works is that when we are in our Canva home screen, if we click on our profile here, we get a list of teams, right? And so we'll get the district team listed here, but also any personal work we've done historically will be stored in separate teams that we can toggle back and forth to. And we could even copy content from an old team to a new team. So we'll figure out what's going on with Desiree, but like I said, that's a very, very atypical experience.
I know it has nothing to do with the instructional technology supervisor for Prince William County. I just want to make sure that goes on the record.
Noted and agreed.
We are recording, yes.
Other questions?
So if I don't, since I can't use single sign-on for kids, how would I create accounts for them under my educator account and they would each have a password? Is that what that would look like?
Okay, so I don't, for some reason, I'm not seeing your name, but yes, so you're a teacher, I think, who works in a district that doesn't have single sign-on set up yet.
Correct. Well,
Okay, or not for Canva anyway.
yeah, we have Clever.
Okay, so first of all, we work with a lot of Clever districts, so I would encourage you to either you contact me or have somebody else in the district contact me. Like, we have lots of good ways to work with Clever districts, and even through Clever, just not using Clever.
Right.
So, but if single sign-on is really not something that's doable for you, there is if you go to canva.com/education, do you already have a Canva account?
Yes.
An educator account? Okay. So if you have an educator account already, let me switch over into an educator team. So this is kind of what the teacher experience would be like. Teachers have a different structure, right? So instead of being part of a district team, they have a class, right? And so you would create a class in Canva, and then within that class, you can go to the people tab. So click on the name of the class over here, click on people, and you can invite your students through a number of different ways. And then they need to join the class, but then they'll have the Canva for Education student access, and they'll be able to work and create things and submit them to you and so forth.
Okay. Thank you.
What else?
So if we do have single sign-on, does that mean that they, like, if I have students, they wouldn't be connected to me unless I shared an assignment with them?
Yeah, because
So,
it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
do
yeah.
roster. Yeah, we're not
So-
rostering.
Right.
We're just
Yeah,
single sign-on.
Yeah, so I think Google Drive is the best way to think of this, right? So we're all in Google Drive, for example, we don't roster
Your
either.
head because we're Microsoft.
Oh yes, well, okay, sorry, but you've used Google Drive, you're familiar with it.
Yes.
Yeah, so yes, we are rolling out some rostering tools as well, but you don't need rostering in Canva because it's a creation space, and the best way really to share content with kids or get content back from kids is through your LMS. We do have a couple of tools built into the platform that support sharing within Canva for this kind of a circumstance. So one is groups. So in Canva, you can build as a teacher, you can build your own group. And so that doesn't create a new page of any kind for your class, but it does create a list of all your students lumped in the same place. So for example, I have a group here called art class that has a whole bunch of my students in it, right? And so if, for example, I want to share something with my students, I just open up that design and I can click the share button. Where is it? The share button, and I can just type the name of my group and it'll automatically share with those students. So you can definitely create a group for your kiddos. That's one way to do it. You can also create a shared folder. So if you're missing that like class space kind of vibe, you can also create a new folder, and you can create that. You can share that folder with your students. Type in a group or type in a set of students. And that will create kind of a shared space, right? So that's the kind of the way Canva is moving. We're actually, as a company, moving away from separate classes in Canva because sometimes it creates more trouble than more problems than it solves. And so we're moving towards this idea of shared folders and groups.
In Canvas, when you integrate with Canvas, and if a teacher's sharing an activity or an assignment within Canvas, the groups pretty much are already made once you post it as an assignment.
And that's the benefit of these LMS integrations, is that it makes it very easy to post something to a class page or a class in Canvas, and also to collect Canva designs from students by way of an assignment. Yeah, Schoology.
Yes, that was this. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And maybe it's different if we did have like a district connection with Canva. I guess I'm just wondering, we have another program where like, even if the student doesn't turn the assignment in, but like I know they were working on it, I can go in and like see their work without them submitting it.
Yeah. So we don't have that feature. I mean, you can. I've seen lots of teachers ask students to create work in a shared folder. so that you can see it as they're working, and then that would kind of address your concern. But no, I mean, unless a student does that or shares the work with you, you won't be able to see it directly in Canva.
Okay, thank you.
I'm told that I'm getting a hook at 8 o'clock. So time for one more question or two.
And do we need to contact you to put it into, to use the LTI in Canvas, or is that?
No, you can set it up yourself.
Okay, got it. Because you just use the admin account to get your
Yeah,
credentials.
exactly. Yeah, you
got
get
it.
all your key and secret right from your admin account. Yep.
It
But
might
if you need
appear there
help,
tomorrow. No.
if you need help,
It might
call me.
appear there
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yay. Any other questions?
I have two short questions.
Good.
First,
Hit me.
one is just a FYI, I guess, that the draw app, I don't see that as an
Okay.
option to add on in my educator account.
That may
The
be a
beta.
beta still
Yeah.
for internal Canva employees, but it's coming.
but
I promise it's
I was
coming.
gonna say that will be cool when it comes out. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
secondly, if we have a person in our division who's kind of created an educator account, and then maybe I created one and was automatically sort of put under that, is that like done forever for our division, or is there a way to kind of clear that out and have like a fresh one started that's the division team? Do you know what I mean? If there's already a team associated just by people trying things out.
Yeah, you can. So you can create as many. I don't know if it's as many, but you can create your own teams. You can create multiple teams. If you wanted to kind of create a new team, you can even delete a team, but we don't recommend it.
Right.
You can certainly do that. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
didn't realize I joined underneath someone else, and so I'm sort of, everything I do is under a coworker instead of
So
myself.
yeah, so what I would do if that's the case for your account is if you go to, I need to switch to an education account again. If you go to settings and then billing and teams, under a
Right.
teacher account, like an individual teacher account, you'll have the option to create a new class, which is the same as creating a team. So
Okay.
go ahead and create that class, and then it'll be in this toggle, right? We've been talking about this team switcher. Then you'll have a couple of teams. You never have to go back and visit that old team if you don't want to.
Perfect, thanks.
All right, I'm going to thank you all. Wait, did you have another question, Emily? Oh, no, you got two. Yeah, okay, I remember now. I'm going to wrap up. Thank you all. It was fun presenting to you. Quickest way to get in touch with our team is just to email me directly. Then you don't have to deal with the bureaucracy. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and have a wonderful evening. Somebody's going to close up, I assume, other than me. So thanks.
Yeah,
everybody.
I want to thank you obviously for doing it. Did a great job. Now, I know Karen's placed in the chat information about our upcoming ones we have in our next few months and throughout really the school year. But again, Andy, I really appreciate you taking time, sharing this great resource with us. And I hope you'll be getting a lot of phone calls and emails about anyone that's not on board yet will want to get on board.
We'd love to have you. What's that?
I'm reaching out to Karen if she has any final thoughts.
Hey,
No, thank
Andy,
you so much. This was great. The conference is sold out, folks, but there is a virtual component. Head to vstconference.org to learn more.
We'll be sharing this recording out later. So thank you all very much. Great job again, Andy. Thanks everyone who joined us this evening. You have a great evening. Be safe.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Diane, were you saying something?
Say something, Diane. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was wondering, Andy, you still there?
I'm here.
I'm wondering, hey, would you want to write just a short little, like a little blog